Hello and welcome. You are listening to episode 131, and today my guest is Lindsay, and she had an amazing trip to Walt Disney World with her family and some extended family, and you were just going to love this episode. Welcome to Disney Travel Tales. I am your host, Jenny, and I am very thankful you are here today. This podcast is designed to help you plan the most magical Disney vacation, whether it be visiting Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or a Disney cruise. You will hear trip reports, news, and I will do my best to help keep you up to date on all things happening in the parks. Not traveling to Disney anytime soon? Then we're still the podcast for you. Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in all things Disney. If you're ready to plan a trip, I would love to help you. Email me at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com and let's get the conversation started. Don't forget to follow the show on Instagram and Facebook at Disney Travel Tales. And with that, let's get to today's show. Hello, Lindsay. Thank you for joining us on this show today. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So why don't we just start the show off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and your experience with Disney vacations?
Okay, I am a mom of three. I'm from Mississippi. I just love Disney. I love Disney World. I love the Disney movies. I grew up going to Disney World with my family, and then had several trips in high school going to cheerleading nationals in Disney World. So I had a different experience there. And I think this past trip was maybe my 10th time to go to Disney World. So not a ton, but more than a lot, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot.
Yes, it's a lot. But it's so fun. It's been so fun to go to Disney throughout the stages and loved every single phase of Disney World, I guess. Like as a child, I loved it so much. As a high schooler, I loved it so much. And as a parent, it's really, really fun too. So I've even had a girls' trip too with some of my friends where I live now. And that was an adults only trip is also a great one.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so funny that you mentioned that. My daughter and I were just talking yesterday about the different stages of visiting Disney. And I told her my favorite stage is visiting as an adult. I just love it. Like as a kid, I loved it. But as an adult, I just really love it.
No, and you learn that it's not all about the rides and it's not all about the, I guess, shows, or it's not all about the food. It's really all about just the experience and being there with who you are and just who you're with and just slowing down and taking it all in and experiencing magic. I mean, I think that if you're one of the people who are able to go to Disney World and experience the fun and slow down and just enjoy who you're with and whatever you're doing, whether it's being at a restaurant or watching a show or watching a parade, if you're somebody who can enjoy it, it's a blessing.
That's perfectly said. I couldn't agree more. So let's talk about this pretty amazing trip that y'all took. What were the dates of your trip?
Okay, so we went from Thursday, October 17th until Wednesday, October 23rd. When we scheduled, I tried to kind of avoid the Columbus Day fall break, but then I quickly learned that a lot of schools now have that whole week for fall break. So I was really worried about the crowds, but actually they ended up being not bad at all.
That's great. Who went on this trip with you?
My husband and our two daughters. I have a little girl who's 4 years old and another who is 2. And we do also have a son, but we left him at home with my parents. He's just a little young. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around doing bottles and all of that at Disney World. So we decided to just kind of soak up the time with our girls and let my parents have him for the week.
That's awesome. Our first trip as a family to Disney, we left my daughter at home because she was only 1. And I just didn't, same thing. Like I didn't want to have to deal with the baby stuff. And I knew she wouldn't even know what was going on.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'm sure a 1-year-old could enjoy it. And I'm sure, I see lots of babies at Disney World. And that is great that those parents can do it. But I feel like to be super present with my daughters and soak it all in, I needed to have my hands free from holding a little baby all day.
For sure. And a lot of people take their babies to Disney because under 3, they're free.
Oh,
So,
yes. Now that was definitely part of the whole reason with my daughter being 2. I was
yeah.
like, hey, we got to get her in before she turns 3.
Yes, that is definitely a nice little perk. Okay, so where did y'all stay on this trip?
We stayed at the Riviera. Now, I do need to say it was not just my family of 5. I also had my husband's brother's family went. Now, they're also a family of 5. They've got 2 daughters, 11 years old and 13 years old. And then they have a son who is 8 years old. The girls have been to Disney before, and the son has never been. And actually, quick story, whenever I told them about this trip, or I've been begging for us to do a Disney trip. And to let everybody know that we were going, I did a little scavenger hunt for the cousins to all go through together. And before the scavenger hunt started, my 8-year-old nephew looked at me and he said, "All I know is this better not be Disney World." And I thought, oh no. So we have laughed, thinking about him not wanting to go to Disney, but spoiler alert, we converted him.
That is so funny.
He was like, "I do not want to go." He has not seen any of really the Disney movies, maybe Toy Story, and they've watched some Star Wars fight scenes, I guess, and he
Mhm.
tried to watch Guardians, but he's just not really into movies very much. So it was different with them, but he still really enjoyed Disney. So
Yeah,
it's
because
for
I
everyone.
think anyone could enjoy Disney. It's more than just the characters in the movies and the stuff. It's just
Absolutely.
everything.
But if you do enjoy the characters in the movie, I do think it makes it a lot more fun.
I
I gave
agree.
a list of movies to watch before the trip, and my girls and I, we had a movie to watch each Sunday before the trip and marked them off the list. And I do think that's part of the fun of getting ready for a Disney trip is rewatching some movies or watching some new
Yeah.
ones. And so, but we also brought my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, and then my mother-in-law. So there were a total of 11 of us.
That's so fun.
It was a big group, and a lot to plan for with dining reservations and trying to figure out how to make the days geared towards a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old and a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. That was a lot of being strategic, but there were some times that we split apart. But honestly, we did really well for a group of 11 people.
That's
We
great.
all enjoyed each other very much, and you know, stayed together a lot, honestly. So it was a great trip.
That's awesome. So did y'all all stay at the same resort?
We did. We all stayed at the Riviera. And so my last trip with my family, we stayed at the Polynesian. And the trip before with my husband's brother's family, they stayed at the Grand Floridian. So this was something new. And yeah, I stressed a lot about choosing where to stay. I mean, it's such a big part of your trip if you want it to be.
Mhm.
And I was planning for a rest day. And so that kind of went into my choice of resort. And I was thinking about the boy who had never been before, and I thought the Skyliner would be great, and it was great. Being on the Skyliner is super fun. The monorail is so classic. It's so classic Disney, and I feel like a lot of us probably have a bunch of nostalgia with it. And I still enjoy it very much. But the Skyliner was really fun to be on. And the trip before with my friends that were girls, we stayed at Caribbean Beach. And we stayed on the side that was really close to the Riviera, so we did a lot of back and forth going. And I do think that is still a really great plan if you want to stay at Caribbean Beach and then still use the Riviera for their quick service or their Skyliner station. Then that's a great plan too. But I decided to go with the Riviera, and I liked it. I think I listen to a lot of Disney podcasts, and I feel like it is definitely a loved resort, especially by adults. And I get it because the rooms are really nice. It was definitely more updated than the room where I stayed at the Polynesian, and but I think we missed a lot of the magic of. Okay, at the Polynesian, we could see the electric water pageant, and they could too from their trip at the Grand Floridian. And that is just really fun to do with your kids. Sit out on the balcony and watch the electrical water pageant, and of course the fireworks from the Magic Kingdom. Now this, I had a preferred view deluxe studio, I guess. It's the one that, and I chose it too because it had 2 bathrooms, and I was like, oh, 2 girls, 11 and 13 years old, like we're gonna need 2 bathrooms. Well, really, it was just 2 showers, and the sink was very small, so I worried about them a little bit getting ready in one room. Um, but having 2 showers definitely was nice. I'm sure for them, especially with a family of 5. Um, we did enjoy the quick service option there, Primo Piatto. That was great. And then couldn't wait for Bar Reeve. I was like, okay, I've heard so many great things about this. This is going to be fabulous. Have you been there?
Yes.
Okay. I think maybe I just had my expectations really high, but I was like, okay, at the end of the day, the environment is great and the people in there were really great. But I mean, I was maybe a little underwhelmed, but overall the Riviera was very nice and very great. I just think that if you were going to, I mean, it was expensive, and I just think that it wasn't as magical as some of the other resorts were, or the other places that I've stayed. For the price tag, whew,
It's really expensive. It doesn't have, like, the theming is very subdued. And so I think if you kind of want that subdued, not super Disney feel, and it is an adult/older kids, I think this is a great resort. Plus, the studio rooms are built for families with 3 kids, like with the 2 showers. I think that's great. But if you do want that closer to the parks, Disney feel, there are other resorts that I always recommend for people to stay at.
Right. I mean, I just think that if you have maybe just comparing price tags, like if you're going to spend that, maybe just at least get some fireworks from your room, because maybe you think you're going to be at the parks every day from morning to night, but chances are you're going to at least have one night where like, let's go in, and watching fireworks from your balcony is pretty magical. Now we had a preferred view, and I thought that we were going to see the Skyliner. I was like, oh, that would be so fun. Honestly, it was really just a pool view. And then my mother-in-law and sister-in-law were across the hallway, and they could see some fireworks from their room. So that is great too. I just think that maybe had such sweet memories from sitting on the balcony with my daughter my older daughter when she was 2, that I was like, oh man, those were some sweet times. But we did really, really enjoy the resort. And honestly, the longer we were there, the more I appreciated and loved it. I love that coffee shop off the lobby. It is such good coffee.
Yes.
And the quick service is really good food too. So I did love the Riviera Resort, but it's not like I have to go stay there next time. I think there are lots of great places on Disney property to go to that I want to try too.
Absolutely. That's the fun thing, is staying at the different resorts. And one thing to keep in mind, if you do want to see fireworks from the Riviera, get a standard view and request a room higher up. Because when we went, we were almost on the top floor, and we had a standard view, and we could see the fireworks at Epcot perfectly.
Oh, could you from your room?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Now, I did learn too that when you go if you stay there too, if you want to go to Topolino's and watch it on the terrace, either you bring your receipt from eating there earlier in the day, or you could just go up there and get a drink from the bar. You do not have to have a reservation. Maybe before, I think one time we tried to go up there, and it was maybe after 7:30 or 8, and they were like, we're full. But that was really fun. One night we did that with my sister-in-law. We had a drink and she ate dinner upstairs at the Riviera at the bar place, and then we could see beautiful fireworks from the top.
Yeah, that's fun.
One of the nights where I was like, okay, this is really growing on me.
Yeah, for sure. You kind of have to get to know your resort.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things too is that I rented DVC points to stay here. And so there's just kind of maybe I just wasn't expecting some of the components of that. So I am a pretty indecisive person, so I overthought this resort a lot. And so when if you change your mind, you're like very locked into that. If you're when the hurricane came, I was like, oh my word, I did not get us trip insurance. Like what if we miss the whole trip or 2 days? Like it doesn't matter. Like you are locked in.
Yeah.
And I worried too about that. And that is one of the reasons why I didn't book like Grand Floridian, because I knew that it was kind of under construction. I was like, oh, what if the whole lobby goes under construction and like we're in a mess? Well, it doesn't matter. Like you're locked in. Or if the Skyliner goes under refurbishment or the monorail goes under refurbishment, you're locked in if you rent point. So that was kind of one of the downsides of that. And then also I didn't realize that when you rent DVC points, you only get housekeeping every 4 days. I did know it was limited, but like, I mean, when you have 5 people in a hotel room, and especially with my kids, I had diapers in the trash can and stuff, and like every 4 days, I'm like, golly, this was an expensive hotel stay to only get housekeeping on your 4th day. So one time we had housekeeping the whole time we were there. So that's just a downside of it. I did call and they're like, oh yeah, if you want an extra housekeeping, it'll be about $40 or $50. And I just thought like, what? Free to come take out the trash and make the bed. It just seemed like, I don't know. I just thought that was very, ugh. And also too, like things like coffee. I mean, you don't think about all those things. Like, so on the 3rd day, we're out of coffee with, we had decaf, but it's like, it's not on a system like a normal hotel stay is. So if you're used to DVC, I'm sure you're prepared for all that kind of stuff. If you're older, you don't need housekeeping as much, but with young kids, and I'm sure they're teenagers too. I'm sure they were like, why is our room not getting cleaned?
Yeah.
Again, it's because I tried to save a little bit of money, but I did use a travel agent for this too. So I paid her an additional fee on top of that, because it messes up whenever you're using a travel agent. So I really don't know if I ended up saving any money, but it did make my options more limited, and I'm not sure I'd go down that route again. But there are pros and cons of both, I'm sure. But
yeah, and some of that stuff I didn't even know about the housekeeping. That's pretty crazy, because I mean, when I'm on vacation, I want my room cleaned every day.
I mean, especially when you are like going hard all day, you're exhausted, and you come back and it's like, oh no, my bed's not even made. Or like it just, there's something that is very relaxing about coming to just put together a hotel room. And so my husband too was like, what is going on? They keep skipping us. And I was thinking, oh, this is my fault. But just a downside of renting DVC points, just something to think about. If you're used to it, it does, you feel it.
Yeah, for sure.
Dirty room, especially by day 4.
Yeah. So what kind of park tickets did y'all have?
We had a 5-day park hopper, and my that was just for my family, and then the rest of us had a 4-day park hopper because they did 1 day at Universal.
Okay. Did y'all do any of the dining plans?
We did not.
Okay.
We had a lot of dinner reservations, or lunch and dinner reservations.
Well, let's just roll into your trip. So let's talk about y'all's arrival day. How did that go?
It was great. We flew direct from Memphis into MCO. Everything was great. When we got there, we had an airport transfer service scheduled, and it picked us. It was right. It was came very quickly. We used Away We Go, because they also rent strollers to you, and whenever they pick you up, they have the strollers with them. And there's Zoe strollers, which I learned are great strollers. And so I was just trying to avoid having to meet somebody in the lobby to pick them up. My mother-in-law's had 2 knee replacements within the past 2 years. So she really wanted a scooter. So we had that delivered around 6 o'clock. And my plan was to ride the Skyliner to the boardwalk or let the kids swim. But the Skyliner was down for hours when we got there. So we just kept looking up, nothing. It was not moving at all. So we kind of decided to stick around, and it was really kind of too chilly for swimming. So we ate at Primo Piatto. We got drinks at Bar Riva, and the rosé was delicious, or frosé was delicious. And our dinner at Primo Piatto was great too. I think we had I had the croque monsieur, and my husband had some grilled chicken wrap, and my daughters shared a pizza. And I will say that I really I noticed that Disney is so good about giving your kids healthy options too. I think with that pizza, it was like you could have mandarin orange or a yogurt smoothie or apple slices or fries. It was just, gosh, this is great. So much better than your average kids meal.
Yes. And that is such a great quick service. We love it.
It was we used it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I did learn that, and I knew from my last trip with my husband, and by talking to his family too, they really like to have a waiter. So when you mobile order there, it comes out in a bag. And I guess that's a Disney thing too. I learned that last trip. It's like, if we're eating here, why was everything in a to-go bag? And I guess if you wait at the counter, you get maybe real plates and stuff. But if you mobile order, which is so much more convenient, I love to mobile order, getting out like a to-go box, which was great some nights. And then some nights we were unpacking it right there and, throwing all the trash away. But they were like, where is the waiter? Make sure that we have reservations for lunch, dinner the rest of the week. And I had them covered. So I knew what to expect.
Nice.
Maybe I would cancel some of the dining reservations. We did not cancel a single one. So,
oh, wow. That's rare.
You are. I know. It depends on who you are, I guess. Or, if you're trying to get a lot done in the trip, we were kind of slower. Having 5 days, it really makes things easier. So, the kids had gelato that night though too, from that little stand outside the pool area, and it was delicious. Everyone had a great restful first night there, which was the plan because we were starting early the next day.
That's so fun. So what happened the next day?
So we started with Epcot. We had full intentions of rope dropping Remy, and we got there with a good amount of time, but got stuck in the security line with our backpacks and my mother-in-law's scooter. And actually we did have a delay at the Skyliner as well, because if you have a scooter, you've got to wait for an accessible Skyliner, and that took a while. But we were good with the strollers. I will mention that too. If you are on a Skyliner resort and you've got 2 kids that are in strollers, you need to make sure that they're single strollers, because you can't get a double, or you have to break down a double to get on the Skyliner. So we did have 2 single strollers for my girls, and that was great. We just mostly took one on each Skyliner, but you can even fit 2. So we were at the Skyliner by 7:45, and I know it was early, but so we had that delay there, and then we had the delay in security. And by the time we got to where the actual rope was for Epcot, I mean, it was packed. So we probably waited in line for about 30 minutes for Remy, and maybe that was the longest amount of time that we waited the whole trip. But my plan was not to, I really did not want to rope drop Remy, but when I did my lightning lanes, the Remy times were super late and the Frozen times were early, and I was trying to get something earlier so that I could start stacking for later in the afternoon. So that's why I did that. But, and 2, I mean, when you're dropped off by the Skyliner, you're right there by Remy. I knew like we would beat everybody that was coming in through the international or the other side of the park where Spaceship Earth is, but we still had a pretty good wait for Remy.
But 30 minutes for Remy is not bad.
Right. Anything longer than 30 minutes with the 2-year-old is just a struggle.
I do agree. Like, I'm a line snob, but in the broad spectrum of things, 30 minutes is not bad.
Right, right. And it does pass by so quickly. And I don't think I've ever been through the standard line at Remy's, and all of the details are so precious. You also have to appreciate that about Disney too. I mean, the food and the restaurants or the apartments, whatever it is, it was all so cute.
That's fun.
So and we did have a Guardians virtual queue. We were in group 1, thanks to Stand by Skipper. I did purchase that for the week, and honestly, I could not figure it out. So really, I just use it for virtual queues. And if you are wanting a really good virtual queue, I would say do it, because I mean, group 1 was huge. And so I think that because, if you have the virtual queue, if I'm correct, you could go anytime throughout the day. So I feel like the later you wait, the longer the lines are going to be, because everybody from 1 to, I don't know, 20 can be waiting. So, everyone rode Guardians, and except for my girls and I, we went to Creation Shop and shopped around a little bit, and then we went ahead and went to the aquarium where everybody else came and met us. They also rode Soarin' right afterwards, and my 4-year-old is just we're short people, so she couldn't ride Soarin' yet, but next time she's pretty close. They all loved Soarin'. They loved Guardians. And we all had a great time. My girls are happy at Disney if they are not riding rides too.
Yeah.
So I did not have trouble waiting with them at any point in the trip. So after that, we met at Nemo. And then I learned that my 4-year-old, was just really not going to enjoy rides very much. She was even scared on Nemo. I was like, Nemo, this is like the babyest ride, one of the babyest rides you could get. Something was scary about it.
Maybe it's just dark.
I guess it's the dark. Yeah. It's the concept of a ride, I guess, is hard for a 4-year-old. I'm like, well, you loved it when you were 2, and your 2-year-old sister loved it.
Yeah.
But so we did that, and then once we got out of that ride, I sent the people who didn't like Guardians. Some of the kids did not like Guardians very much. They went to Turtle Talk with Crush, and then I booked it with a few of the others to the virtual, or to our purchase for
the Lightning Lane Single Pass.
Yes, Lightning Lane Single Pass.
So many words.
I know. So many words and so many changes so often.
Yeah.
And so the ride was down. So we slowly made our way to lunch, which was at Space 220. We did stop at Club Cool and on the way there, and I tricked the girls into trying the Beverly, and they thought that was hilarious. And then we headed into Space 220 where we all met. I worried about Space 220 because a lot of the times I feel like it is, it gets a lot of bad rap maybe for the price tag and maybe the food not being very good. Our lunch was absolutely delicious. It was probably my best meal the whole time. I had the Brussels sprout salad over like a ricotta and a salmon, which is so odd that you could get salmon at a amusement park, or it was the best salmon I've ever had. We were all blown away. My husband had the calamari and the tuna. The tuna was not as big of a hit as the salmon for most of us. My daughter had spaghetti, loved it. She ate so much of that space spaghetti, I guess it was. Some purple martinis with it is a gin base. It was delicious. And some of us had an espresso martini. I heard that those were really good at Space 220. Everything was delicious. Service was great. The kids, without a doubt, well, not the 11 and 13-year-old, but the 8 and younger, they for sure thought we were in space.
That's so
it was so fun.
Yeah.
I just think that it is such an experience, and I'm glad we did that.
I think if you go in with the right expectations, like, it's going to be an expensive meal, I think you'll enjoy it. And I do think the food's gotten better.
Oh, yeah. I feel like they've done something. I did go on our girls' trip a while back, and I got different food, so it's hard to compare. But I just thought this time around, maybe my expectations were too low, but that food was so good.
That's awesome. And I've actually heard recently really good things about it. So, but it is fun. I love being up there. And just the whole elevator experience to me is worth it.
it is so fun. It's a ride and a meal,
Yep.
with a show.
Yep.
So
For sure.
great. They were finding the dogs and the astronauts and saying, "Oh, look, look, look." I mean, they thought they were down there. My daughter was like, "Oh, I don't want to go back down to Earth." Oh,
Aw.
cute. She didn't want to go up, but she liked to love it.
That's cute.
So after that, those of us who went to Guardians and missed went straight to Guardians, and after a big lunch, that was probably not the best idea, and martinis, but the Guardians was absolutely amazing. And so my sister-in-law watched the girls, and some of the others went to Mission Space. Again, they had written that earlier in the day while I had the girls, and they did orange this time, and no one at all felt sick. That is one ride that I'm like, I will not even risk it with green, but they rode green and orange, and everyone thought it was just great. That was one of my nephew's favorite rides.
That's cool.
And then we made our way back to Frozen. And that was great, of course. And then we went to Spaceship Earth. So our lightning lanes that day, I had a Nemo lightning lane for the morning, a Guardians lightning lane at 10:40 to 11:40, and a Spaceship Earth. Those are the ones that and Frozen. So those are the ones that I booked.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an individual lightning lane that night at Seven Doors because we had plans to ride the monorail or hop over to Magic Kingdom. I will say I learned very quickly that I love this new lightning lane system because you can schedule it so like with your dining reservations or your plan throughout the day. And they are not strict on the times. I mean, I think you have a 2-hour window after your lightning lane is up.
Okay, let's get real. When was the last time you got to feel like a child again? For a lot of people, it's been a really long time. And with all the craziness in the world right now, we all need to escape reality for just a little bit. I would love to help you have that childlike feeling again, whether it be on a couple's trip, a girl's trip, or a trip with your family. Right now, I am booking Disney Park vacations through 2025 and Disney cruises through May of 2026. Let's get a magical vacation on the calendar for you. All of my services are complimentary to my clients, so there really is no reason not to take advantage of my expert experience. See the show notes for a quote form or email me at jenny@trolleylanetravel.com and let's make your travel dreams a reality.
And there were several times that we were an hour or two afterwards and just lights right up green. So I don't know if that's just an early phase or if that's their plan, but it allowed you to not cross the park and cross the park and cross the park trying to get these lightning lanes in time. It gives you a lot of flexibility.
They're just mostly strict as you cannot check in too early. But pretty much if you're after your time, I mean, you pretty much can get in.
I mean, I think one time I was like 3.5 hours. I was like, there's no way. And I scanned it and it did turn gray. And I was like, I'm sorry. I know that we are too late on this. I was not trying to lie. I was just kind of out of curiosity, see if it works and right, if they would let us. And he was like, well, maybe some rides they would not let you go, but come on, they were just not hard on you about that. So that made the whole lightning lane system so much more enjoyable, knowing that you weren't stuck to that 1 hour window.
I like the new system too. I think it's great. I love that you can plan ahead of time a little bit. And like you said, work in your dining reservations. It's so far I think working pretty seamlessly.
Right. We had no problem. I would, when you don't like to wait in line, it is a really, really great system, yes. I believe. Okay, so after Frozen and Spaceship Earth, we were heading out of Epcot to ride the monorail to Magic Kingdom for the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. Yay. And my mother-in-law's scooter broke down right as we were exiting. Well, she just could not get it to go. She was trying everything. She had cast members helping her, and she was like, they told me just to leave it at the exit and call the rental. I was like, oh my word, this is not going to be good. We can't just leave the scooter at Epcot. Well, later we found out, I'm pretty sure there was a yellow lever or something that the cast members pull whenever they move it, that maybe she didn't do correctly. So she may get charged like a $75 drop fee or something that they had to get it. But we had a reservation at Cinderella's Royal Table, so we really did not want to miss that or risk it. So she left it, and we got on the monorail, and I made the mistake of, I forgot to get off at the Ticket and Transportation Center to transfer. So we had a very lengthy monorail ride, and might have messed us up. Everybody was like, it's fine. We need to sit down. We need this break. And I guess we probably did, but we were going to have a break at Cinderella's Royal Table. So we got there at about 5 o'clock, and this is, our Halloween party time. And I knew, talking to my travel agent, she was like, this is a lot for one day. You Space 220 and Cinderella's, that's a lot. Now, we did not snack hardly at all this trip. So we did have a lot of sit down meals, but, we were not spending a bunch of time waiting and getting snacks or, I guess, space in our stomachs. But we got there at 5 o'clock, and we had dinner at 5:35. So we pretty much booked it there. And I had about 3 lightning lanes stacked from earlier in the day to ride. And I had that Seven Dwarfs lightning lane from 4:40 to 5:40. But we had to go straight to dinner. And by the time we got to dinner, when the party starts at 6, like, you can't use any of your lightning lanes, or so that one that I paid for, the Seven Doors, it expired, and so that was a waste. And during the Halloween party, but it was kind of a bummer that I wasn't able to use them.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so dinner was absolutely magical, though. I've never eaten at Cinderella's Royal Table, and neither had anyone else, and it was so great. My 4-year-old daughter, she literally had tears in her eyes after meeting every princess. Like, she was so happy. I'd gotten autograph books because I remember doing that whenever I was a little girl, and I knew that would be something that she enjoyed. And I forgot them, but my mother-in-law brought out my sister-in-law's, her daughter's, her autograph book from years and years ago.
So cute.
So she was like, here, use this one. So eventually my sister-in-law wrote some note about passing it down to her October 2024 or whatever. And it was really, really sweet. And so she was so excited. That is a great way. If you're doing these character meals and you've got young kids and you're unsure about how they're going to react, or, having something to say to the princesses, that is just such a good, like, icebreaker to hand them their autograph book and let them sign. So that was, it was just wonderful. My 2-year-old she was precious with them too, hugging them. And the princesses were incredible. It was a great dinner. Everybody's food was great. Not as good as Space 220 in my opinion, but I had the steak, and I can't remember what everybody had, but everybody did enjoy their meal.
That's good.
So after dinner, so this is Halloween party time. We hopped on the carousel. Some of us did. So my husband's brother and his son, they went and did, I think, the Barnstormer and Space Mountain, which was great because Space Mountain, I think it was blacked out for the Halloween party. And we instead did the carousel and a Small World. And that was about it. So then it was time to get in line for the parade. Because the parade, we were definitely going to go to the 8:30 one because we could not last till the later. Well, I choked because by the time we were going to the parade, it was packed. I mean, we could not get a spot to really see much. I mean, I would love to like sit down on the streets and watch the parade, of course. But we were definitely further back. And so the good thing is the parade is lifted, so you can still see a lot, but like the grave diggers and I could kind of see it. We stood behind like the spot reserved for the handicap section.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "This is a great spot. You can still see." And we it was better than, it's not like we couldn't see anything, but it would have been really fun to have a seat
Yeah.
and watch it. We did on the way to the parade, we got held up a little bit because we stopped to go to the bathroom at the Rapunzel bathrooms, and the lantern was there, and there were like two families in line. Somebody walked past and looked at us and said, "Are you kidding me? I've waited 3 hours for this." That photo op, where
Oh
you can have the
gosh.
language. I was like, we got to stop and do this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have some really sweet pictures of, especially my, 11 and 13-year-old nieces. They have some really great pictures that I'm sure that they will love. And so that was fun. But if you are going to the Halloween party and a parade is a high priority, which it should be because it is such a good parade. I loved it. Then do try to get a spot early because that was a bummer. So my nephew and his dad, the ones who went and rode Barnstormer and Space Mountain while we were on the slower rides, my nephew had honestly, he just had enough. Like he could not wait for the parade. So they left before that even started. So when I'm thinking about the Halloween party and the price tag for that, I'm like, ugh, really, we spent so much time at dinner that our parade time was just very limited. And my travel agent tried to tell me that that was not a good night to do Cinderella's Royal Table, but I was so worried about waiting until the last day to do it because the other day that was our only really Magic Kingdom day with the other family as well. Um, and it was a must do for all of us. So um, I decided to take my chances. So going back, I probably would not schedule such a big a sit down dinner during your parade time. Just get a snack and roll and try to do that stuff. But we did on the way out. There was one candy stop, and I was like, we got to at least do one candy stop. So they really went one in one, and they were pleased. They were like, we just got so much candy. I thought y'all have no idea.
Just be like, yeah, you did.
Right. But I did know going in to the Halloween party that the parade was the number one priority. Shows on the castle were really not a super big deal because my kids are too young for that and they don't really like scary stuff. So, and I don't think they've seen Hocus Pocus, my nieces and nephews. So, I just knew the stage shows weren't super high priority on our list. I was just thinking we would ride rides with low wait times, see the parade, stop at a few candy stops and be done. I knew, and candy really to me, I'm like, I definitely don't come all the way to Disney World to get a bunch of candy.
Right.
So that was not a priority. And costumes, we saw Stitch in his Elvis costume. That was super cute. There was a long line for him. And it was really fun seeing people in their Halloween costumes. We did pass Jasmine and a girl taking a picture with Jasmine. I had no idea which one was which. So some people were really, really dressed up. And it was a fun vibe, I guess. But if hindsight, looking back, I would just maybe not a big dinner reservation that night. And okay, so then after that, we all were shot. So we had about 20,000 steps that day, and it was a 7:45 to 9:45 day. So my husband was like, "This is crazy," and because we got back to the hotel about 9:45. We took the buses, and I'll just say this for the whole entire trip, the buses were like incredible. I think there was one time where my sister and mother-in-law were waiting for a bus for a long time. So I don't know if they were at the right stop or what, but the buses were awesome, at least to the Riviera.
That's my favorite part of the Riviera is I have the worst bus luck. That is the only resort that the buses, in my opinion, run perfectly.
I mean, is it because it's not you don't share it with anybody else
You
or
don't share, and I think because it is like a higher price deluxe, they want to keep everyone happy.
well, they kept us happy with buses for sure because it was I mean, it was very, very quick every time. So, and I thought we were gonna like be calling Ubers or minivans or what. Never once did I even consider that because
Yeah.
the buses were so reliable.
They're great. They definitely have their bus system under control.
Yes, that was much appreciated. So we got to dinner. I mean, we got to the resort and went to sleep, and then actually got to sleep in that next day because we had a VIP tour scheduled. So this was a we were really, really excited about this day, of course, and we had Topolino scheduled for the morning, which was another part of reason why I chose the Riviera because I knew I wanted to do Topolinos. We
Hmm.
did on the girls' trip, and the food was so good, and it's just a great way to see characters. With the Lightning Lane system, not allowing you to book character experiences. Like when you have young kids, that's such a big part of it. So it's nice to get to knock those all out, get their autographs, and get your pictures with them and not have to worry about taking a bunch of part time to do that. So we ate at Tupolino's. It was delicious and it was so quick. And then
Yeah, that is my favorite breakfast on property.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's just, and it's precious in there. They're so cute in their costumes. The dance is so sweet. It was great. The,
Hmm.
the rolls are great. The kids had their Mickey waffles, of course, but it was nice to have a good big breakfast because we knew that we weren't probably not going to be stopping very much on the VIP tour to waste time eating, and that was definitely how it went. So our VIP tour, it is like for Disney, it is a firm 10-person max. I mean, they are like, it doesn't matter if it is a 2-week old. That is another body. You cannot. Um, Now I have a friend who does these. I think they do every time they go. They have one day of VIP, and maybe their guide, they have the same guide every time, and maybe they've squeezed their little boy in too. But I think it is like you definitely don't want to risk it.
Hmm.
So we had 11. So that meant I had a really hard time with this, but it meant my 2-year-old, I got a sitter for her. And I weighed my options. I was like, what if I take the girls and my husband stays back? He was like, I will stay back. That is fine. But I just decided honestly the parks are a lot for a 2-year-old, and we had 5 days, like a rest day would be okay for her. And
Hmm.
it was probably her best day the whole entire trip.
Aw.
Really, we hired a nanny from Once Upon a Nanny, and her name was Lex. So if you use her, you could request for her. She was awesome. So she arrived around 10:30. Our VIP tour was scheduled for 11. Um, when she came, I'd already have like a printed out list of my daughter's schedule, things that she liked, things that she didn't like. And whenever I was scheduling the nanny, they were very thorough in the questions like, what upsets her? How do you get her to calm down? If she does get upset, what are some things that she really enjoys? Everything. I even said like she's used to younger babysitters, so maybe somebody younger would be, I mean, just like doing everything I could to make it just an easy transition. Um, because my 2-year-old is very dependent on my 4-year-old daughter. Like she wants to be with her all the time. She wants to be just like her. So that was my only thing is she was just going to be concerned that my older one was gone.
Hmm.
She did not even notice that. So she did. The babysitter got there right on time at 10:30. She had a backpack with like some things, some toys in there, I think. And she had uh, a little container with pasties on her backpack. So I was like, "Oh, are you a mom?" And she was like, "Oh no, I just nanny so much, and a lot of the times by the time I make it to the resort, the parents have maybe lost the pasties, so I just have a few backups." And I was like, "Okay, this is good." And I
Yeah.
was you don't have to stay at the resort the whole time. You can ride. And she was like, oh, great. I was going to ask if I could ride the Skyliner to take her to the playground at Art of Animation or maybe their splash pad. I was like, okay, this is going to be great. So she did. That's what they did. She got her. They napped first because it was about 11 o'clock, and my daughter was tired. Um, so she napped, and then they rode the Skyliner, and they did the splash pad of Art of Animation. They strolled around and looked at the characters and the playground. And they came back, and they ended up riding the Skyliner to dinner, to the boardwalk, and grabbed pizza. She was sending me pictures all day, videos of her splashing, and she said it was so funny because I saw in your notes that she was like, I told her like she does not really like water in her face or getting splashed. She said she was running over to those little water spouts and putting her head in there, and she look at me and die laughing and run over and dry it off and do it again and again and again. I thought, okay, of course. But she said she did not whimper once, like had to stay. So
That's awesome. And she probably would have not enjoyed the VIP tour because I've done one and they are go, go, go.
they are. I even worried halfway through the day, my old 4-year-old looked at me and she said she saw the videos of my daughter at the place. She was like, I'm ready to go to the babysitter now. I was like, oh, it's too late because I did tell her, I was like, I'm worried about this VIP tour because I know we're going to be riding a bunch of rides that are too big for my 4-year-old and I don't want her sitting around waiting. She's like, say the word, and if you want me to meet you, you hop on go to the sky. We will hop on the Skyliner and come meet you anywhere, and I will grab her too. Like I would love it too. So do not worry about that. But we didn't end up taking her up on that. But it was nice to have that in my mind.
Yeah, that is nice.
It was a great. It was something I worried about a lot before the trip, and it was a great experience. And so, and I just there are two things I did learn about that. It's kind of when you get a babysitter like that, about, I don't know, an hour after I left, she was like, hey, did you leave a magic band or a room key? I was like, no. So I spent a lot of time waiting in line, for rides. I was calling Disney to see if they could set her up or get her a key card or something. And I ended up going through my app to get a direct line to the resort, and that worked a lot better. And they gave me two options. They were like, I can cancel it completely and rebook you, and I thought, oh no, I've done DVC points. Don't touch that because that's going to just mess everything up. I was too scared. But they set her up as a day guest, and that was fine. And so then for dinner, I was like, oh no, I didn't leave any money for dinner. She just paid for their supper. So whenever I got back, I just Venmoed. She just told me how much she spent, and I Venmoed her that, and I guess a little extra to tip her because she was wonderful. And that was that. It was easy. It was great.
That's amazing.
It was great. Great experience. So if you need to do that for any reason, I've had friends do that, like on a trip and have one at nighttime, and they went to like Epcot and did an adults only dinner and rode like Guardians and came back. And so that's where I kind of got the idea, like, okay, this might be okay. And it was great.
That's great. I love it.
So VIP day, we went in. So it was great. She met us at our hotel lobby, and we rode in their van straight to Hollywood Studios. We entered. When you get out of the car, people like come out, open the car doors for you, meet you with a big tray of snacks and waters or whatever you need, get out your strollers, all that. We went in through the back entrance to like by Lightning McQueen, the old Lightning McQueen and Rock and Roller Coaster. And we went straight to Minnie and Mickey's. And then we did Toy Story Land. We went over to Toy Story Land and did those rides. We started off with Toy Story Mania, and we got evacuated. So the VIP tour guide was like, I've never, and she's been there for a while, a long time. She was like, I've never been evacuated from a ride. So we were stuck there for like 20 minutes.
Oh, no.
oh no, we were almost done too. But we were not like in the car for 20 minutes, but you have to get off, then you have to wait. And you go to another section and you have to wait. And I was thinking, oh my word, we are, on the time. But afterwards, she was like, I called, the VIP tour guide thing, and we're going to credit you this much amount of time at the end, so that was nice. And then we did Slinky Dog, and my 4-year-old did that and hated every single second. She was like, went too high, too low, and too sideways. And she will still tell you that. Then afterwards, we did Ugly and Swirling Saucers, which I was like, cannot believe that we're using VIP tour guide time to do this. But that was my daughter's favorite ride the whole entire trip. So it was fun. Then we went to the Star Wars area and did Millennium Falcon, which was my first time doing this ride. And, that was, I don't get motion sick, but that might be my last time.
Yeah, it's tough.
It was tough. My husband and I were the pilots. So that was nice with VIP. You're just going through the lightning lane. So it's not like you're walking on every single ride. You're still waiting, if the lightning lane is 10 minutes long, you're waiting 10 minutes. Some of the times, like, you might cut in front of some of the lightning lane people in like a different queue or line, I guess. But most of the time, if the lightning lane is long, then your wait is longer. Mm-hmm. But this was nice because we got our, I guess, a plane to ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we were the pilots, and I did my very best, but there's a reason why it's like blasting cold air in your face. I was like, I must not be the only one who thinks that this is a little, inducing. So then we did Rise of Resistance, which was so fun, and then Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster. Our VIP guide did not wait, like with my daughter, for any of these. So if there was not one person who wanted to sit out, we were gonna have to do rider swap. And I read a little bit about that before, and it just was kind of like luck of the draw. Like sometimes they'll offer to do it, sometimes they won't, and it probably depends on how old your kid is too. But my sister-in-law does not really like roller coasters very much, so I was like, I might as well just take this opportunity to leave Anne Louise with her, so that she didn't have to wait with 2 kids instead of one. So I rode most of the rides this day, and if it was one that Anne Louise or my older daughter couldn't ride, then she would wait with my sister-in-law. Another nice thing about VIP though is that if she didn't ride, or she did ride several of the rides with us, and the kids fell in love with her. She was so great. What's the name of
your guide?
Jennifer.
Okay.
She was wonderful. Ended up like, okay, so Anne Louise, my daughter hated Slinky Dog, but then when it came up to 7 doors, she was standing in line. She wanted to ride with Jennifer. And afterwards, I was like, how was it? She was like, it was okay. And I thought, it's only because you rode with her that you think it's okay. If you would have ridden with me, you would have been like, that was terrible.
Yeah.
And they loved her. I mean, she was holding their hand, and just even my nephew thought she was awesome. So that was great. And so while we were in line for rides, sometimes she would sneak out and then go get the strollers and come pick us up with the strollers. So that is huge, because going back to stroller check every time does take a lot of time out of your park day. Mm-hmm. And also on Millennium Falcon, I think I was so thankful to get off the ride. I forgot that my belt bag was in the side pocket, so I forgot it on the ride. So while we were in Rise of Resistance, she ran over there and got it and met us afterwards with it. So that was really nice too. Yeah. She was a great guide, and it was really fun. After we did Hollywood Studios, we talked about getting a late lunch, just getting something mobile order, but we just decided to get pretzels and ice cream, a snack instead. So you can eat in the car, but you can't, and you can drink in the car too, but just not alcoholic drinks. Mm-hmm. And we ordered pretzels, and she was like, pretzels and ice creams are on Mickey. So that she, Mickey Mouse covered all of those snacks. And those pretzels, I will say this, outside of Hollywood Studios, I love the cream cheese one. And it's one of my snacks. I'm like, why does nobody talk about those cream cheese pretzels? They're really one of the best things that you can get, in my opinion. But of course, I was not feeling like that. So we all got jalapeno cheddar ones, and they were so good too. We couldn't stop talking about them the rest of the trip too. I mean, they were just great. So if you ever need a snack right outside the pretzel cart, right outside of Hollywood Studios, there's rarely anybody in line, and the pretzels are great. Much better than a Mickey pretzel, in my opinion, with cheese.
I'll have to try that one. I've never had that one. I've had cream cheese, and I love that one.
You love that one too? It's one of the things that, like, snacks that stick out to me. I tell people like that one, and then the corn from Animal Kingdom, which I also did not have this trip, but I think it's so good.
So good.
So after that, we went to Magic Kingdom. So we only did 2 parks in our VIP day. We had planned to do Epcot, and she was like, listen, if you want to just go to Guardians, like, it will take like 45 minutes total. Like, we park right behind Guardians. We can ride it and hop back in. Everybody was like, no, we rode it twice yesterday. We're good. So I was fine with that too. Especially since my daughter was going to be sitting in the car the whole time while we did that, or just waiting the whole time. But so we went ahead and went to Magic Kingdom. We entered near like Tomorrowland Terrace, and through, like, it wasn't like fully backstage. It was, I mean, it still looked very pretty. I was worried about that with VIP. I was worried that it was gonna, like, ruin the magic, seeing the backstage parts and cars and stuff. It didn't. It's still incredibly magical.
Yeah.
It's not like you saw characters without their mask or something. It protected all of that. And of course there was, like, no trash to be seen anywhere. Still very clean, perfect, great. So, and when we got out at Magic Kingdom, I mean, they come out again with the big snacks. So we did grab a few, like, kind bars and kept on going. Now, I don't know. I'd have to look on a map to know exactly what order we did these things in. But, I mean, it was very much so like you go right in order of the rides, where it hits. We did Jungle Cruise, Seven Dwarfs, Small World, Peter Pan. We did Big Thunder, Haunted Mansion with Tiana's. Some did Space Mountain, and a few of us did the People Mover instead, and then we all ended with Tron. And then afterwards, we extended the VIP tour just a little bit. I think you have to do a minimum of 7 hours.
Yes, that's right.
And so there was a little confusion when she got there, because she was like, we only book everybody for 7 hours. And then, like, you make the decision when you're there if you want to extend it and however long. You did extend it. And so that we ended it right at 8. So we could sit in the little VIP area for fireworks. And that was so nice, because I will say this was Saturday, and the crowds were crazy. So I felt like crowd levels in general were pretty good the trip, but definitely they were higher on Friday and Saturday. And I don't know if that was due to the hurricane, like people rescheduling their trips right afterwards, or if it was just because it was a Saturday. But Magic Kingdom, when there are Halloween parties, and I'm sure Christmas parties too, on a Saturday when there's not a party, so people can go have a full day at Magic Kingdom and see Happily Ever After. I mean, Happily Ever After. It was packed.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. She was like, now listen, I'm going to get y'all set up, and then the tour's over at 8:00. So you don't have to stay. You don't have to pay for her through fireworks. Fireworks were started at 8:30. But she was like, mobile order Casey's, like, as soon as you get a spot, go get it, and then y'all can have dinner out there. And that's what we did. The adults were like, corn dogs first. So we just got a bunch of corn dog nuggets and fries, and the kids kind of ate on that. And then we decided we were going to leave right after fireworks anyway. So it was primo piatto again for supper.
Did everyone like the fireworks?
Loved it. It was great. My sister-in-law actually snuck out this day, and she did not stay for fireworks. She went and met a friend who lives in Orlando I was like, "Are you serious? Why are you leaving? You can't miss happily ever after." She's like, "I've seen it before," and she really wants to meet up. So then I was like, "Okay, well, I hope y'all are at least going to go to Topolino's and have supper up there. It's so nice. The food's great." She was like, "No, she's booked someplace that she says she cannot cancel." Well, it ended up that she was at the Four Seasons at Ravello, I guess.
Uh-huh.
She said their dinner was definitely worth leaving, that it was so good. She enjoyed it very much. So,
Yeah.
but we loved the fireworks. I mean, I'm not like really, I'm not like a crazy Disney person, but I'm telling you, Happily Ever After every time gets tears in my eyes. It was so special. I wanted my 2-year-old to be there. That was the hardest thing for me, her not seeing the fireworks and the castle show, but we'll take her back. Um,
Yeah.
and it was fun. It was fun. And that lawn area is really great. That will be hard not to have next time we're there.
Yeah.
But
Do it with the dessert party, and then you get a separate lawn area where there's a little bit more people, but it's still so nice to have that great reserved spot.
I mean, we were sitting down and just like yeah, I think a lot of us sat down, stayed, sitting down during the whole fireworks show.
Yeah.
It was great. Tinkerbell flew. It was
Oh, that's
wonderful.
great. Yay.
Now the crowds after that were crazy, and the guide was like, "Now listen, you need to stay put for like 10 minutes, and they're going to open separate gateway, and it'll feel like uh you can feel it, like the crowds all of a sudden start moving really quickly." That
Mhm.
happened till probably like 30 minutes into after fireworks, but once they did open that second gate, it started moving faster. But I thought, oh no, these buses are going to be crazy. They weren't. It was great. So they've got it. Disney definitely has it figured out. There were a lot of moments where I would look around and be like, how does only in Disney World can you have this many people in an area to like wait together, and and everyone still be in such a great mood, and it
Right.
functions well. I know people have meltdowns and not everybody's in a great mood, but overall, honestly, guests were great, cast members were of course fabulous, and like it was just it's very, very happy and magical over there.
That's so great.
So we had a late night. We did get we ordered from a Primo Piatto and ate in our room, and we had burgers this night, and they were so good. So really one of the best burgers I've had probably. So it was a good supper before we crashed.
That's such a fun day. I love VIP tours. They're so much fun, and just the guide themselves are just so fun to be around.
Oh yes. I mean, she was so helpful, and like, I mean, no, of course, like Disney knowledge and stuff like that, but she just like, and they're looking the whole time on now. Tiana's was down for a lot, so that was majorly helpful too. Where she was like, okay, we bypassed it for a while, and then she like, okay, wait, I just see that it went up, but the lightning lane is saying like 10 minutes, but it's saying that it's back on, but I don't see anybody in the boats going down. And so she was like, okay, I've never seen it not be accurate. So y'all want to just go risk it? And we're like, let's go risk it. And it was up. So that kind of stuff is really helpful too.
Oh,
But
yeah.
she was just so fun to be with all day. It was
That's
great.
great.
It was
What a
great.
fun day.
Now, I will say, like, when we first, I was sad about having to leave my daughter. So I a little bit maybe was like, was this even necessary? Like, with lightning lanes and stuff, it's not like you're having to wait a long time anyways. But we got done a lot.
Yeah.
And it is really nice it was so nice for me to have a break of like worrying about everybody's lightning lanes and where to go to next and all that as I guess the planner. But I was thinking for the future, if the kids are old enough, like it would be more valuable to have a VIP service if you have either adults or older kids where most kids are riding, you
Yeah.
know, and you can't, I feel like Disney is so much more than just the rides. So you have, if you are like that too, then you need to at least have another day to go back to Magic Kingdom to watch the parade, the Festival of Fantasy Parade. Or, I mean, I love Beauty and the Beast and the Frozen show and Lion King or that. So you've got to have some other time to go to the shows if you want to do that. That's important to you because you are rides all day. But it does make the rest of the trip very relaxed because you're like, well, we already did that. No worries. Let's do the shows instead. So it was a really, really great day. Next, if we ever do that again, which it probably is not going to happen, especially soon. But I would try to pick a time, like the rates for that. It was like on the really high end of because it can be as low as like 375 maybe an hour to like 900 an hour. Like, there's a big difference. And it was really high. And so I was like, oh, great. I've chosen like a terrible time to go to Disney where all the crowds are going to be crazy. And I do think it was just because it was a Saturday after fall break for most people, and the Magic Kingdom not being a party day. Maybe that's why the rate was so high, but I would try to pick a lower crowd time, maybe, or a lower where the fees were a little bit lower, and then maybe split it with another family or something when your kids are older. I mean, because once you figure out you're saving money, you're not buying any lightning lanes that day. You're really not buying any food either. And you're not having to buy the multi-pass either. I mean, it does, you can help, it helps justify the price a little bit.
Yeah. Well, in general, October is a really expensive month to travel to Disney. It's one of the most popular times to go.
Yes. Well,
so when we did it in January, and it was a lower end cost. It wasn't at the lowest. So the lowest cost is literally like 2 days out of the whole year.
Oh, yeah, really? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe as a travel agent, you can see like the rate schedule. Can you?
So we have to call in and ask, but January's low, September's low, August is low. That's about it. Sometimes July is low because July typically isn't that busy, especially the end of July. A lot of people don't want to go to Florida.
Yeah, I don't really have a desire to go and melt the day. But I mean, lower crowds, I'm always like, lower crowds is when to go,
Well, this summer they were offering, I think, like 30% off VIP tours for deluxe guests in July. Yes, because no one was booking them.
Wow. See, I thought, this was like crazy to me that we were doing this, and I was so excited. And then when I talked to her, she said they had 90 VIP tours scheduled for that day.
Oh yeah, they're always booked.
Crazy to me.
Yeah.
And
always,
and they're so expensive. But then at the end too, it was like, we need a tipper.
Yeah.
Like looking up to see what the tip was, like 15 to 20%. I was like, oh my goodness, it's just expensive. And that happened too with a bunch of I was comparing, prices for sit down meals versus quick service. And, oh yeah, it's not that much more, but you got tip on that too. It all adds up. But, our VIP tour guide was really, really great, and we definitely enjoyed the day. So, and it made the whole trip more enjoyable. So, I guess it was worth it.
It's a fun experience. It's definitely a fun experience. Yeah.
It's definitely not something that you have to do every time. And you definitely don't have to have a VIP tour guide to enjoy Disney by any shape or the way. But if you can do it, and if you have some other part-time to enjoy the other parts of Disney, I think it's a good thing to do. We loved it.
I know people that will go with like a group of adults and they all split it, and it's not even that much money.
If you can find it whenever it's like $300, and then you split it between 10 people and you only do the 7, how much would that cost? Fun, but that's
My
like,
husband surprised us with it, but I think his rate was like around 420 an hour.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was on the lower end and it was in January. It was we went right after MLK that week. So it was not busy at the parks, which was also nice because we literally walked directly up to every ride.
Yeah, that's then you're really maximizing your time too, because I mean, really Tiana's and really several of the rides I felt like, oh, this is you know, time, we're
Yeah,
spending time in this line. Time is money, I guess, with a VIP tour guide,
it
but
really is. That's
I
why I was like, we can't eat.
know, yeah, I know for sure. When we got back, we went to bed. That was it for our VIP tour guide day. All right. The next day we went to Hollywood Studios, and most of us decided just to take it a little bit slower that morning, just because, we felt like, okay, we accomplished so much at Hollywood Studios. They were like, where are we going to today? Didn't we do that yesterday?
Mhm.
Okay. But my brother-in-law and his son they went a little bit early and did Rock and Roller Coaster before we got there. So on, our Hollywood Studios day, I had Lightning Lanes booked for at 9:55 for Tower of Terror, and we had a 50s primetime cafe lunch. So I knew that we just needed to at least make it there by, like, 9. I think not. I was saying 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock for Tower of Terror, but we all kind of had a slower morning. We're like, let's go. So we did. We went and we did Tower of Terror, and some did Rock and Roller Coaster, and then we went to 50s Prime Time for lunch. This was my first time there, and I thought we were maybe going to cancel it, but then I realized we couldn't because we had done the Fantasmic Dining package. And I'm really glad we didn't. We had a great lunch at 50s Prime Time. It was fabulous. I had the chicken pot pie, I guess, and it
Mhm.
was so good. Um, we had the best waitress. Her name was Cindy, and I think it was her like 28th anniversary or something, and she was maybe going to make it to 30 years or something at Disney. And she was hilarious. She was giving everybody a hard time, and she sat next to my 8-year-old nephew and was literally feeding him green beans. I was gonna request like a waitress that would interact with this, and I did not need to. She was great.
That's
My
funny.
daughter, I think she maybe at one point whipped out a wooden spoon, or I don't know. My daughter was like not really into it, my 4-year-old, but she was a little bit nervous, but and then she kind of realized, like, okay, she is not okay with this, and she totally avoided my daughter. She was perfect. She was
That's
wonderful.
great.
Um, and so we finished lunch and we were about to head out, and then it started pouring, like pouring right out of nowhere. Strollers were out, no stroller cover, it was very unexpected. We didn't have any rain on the forecast hardly all week, and I think it rained twice. Um so we waited it out at Tune In Lounge. We got a drink there and waited and for it to pass over, and that was fine. Tune In Lounge is so cute too. I've
Mhm.
never been in either of those areas, and loved it. Um we did Beauty and the Beast while my brother-in-law and son were at Star Tours. And then I tried to book it from Beauty and the Beast to Frozen Sing Along, and this is my second time to do that. Like, I just don't think that you can make it happen. Those
Yeah.
shows are like back to back, and it's just they will let you in late. So we did that. We all met back up at Indiana Jones and watched that show, and it was great. I love the shows at Hollywood Studios. So those are all like big priorities for me. We went to some of them went to Toy Story Land and did Slinky Dog, and my daughter was not doing that again, and I knew my younger one couldn't, so we did the Disney Junior Dance Party instead, and they loved it. That's one of my kids' favorite things, and it's really
Cute.
so simple, but the bubbles and the dancing, and it was they just love it. Um, we met them to do Toy Story Mania again. And really, whenever we got evacuated, there was a cast member who helped me, and she was like, look, because you're on a VIP tour guide, we're going to give you a lightning lane. Now it's only going to be, everybody was getting lightning lanes who had them, or anytime passes or whatever it was to come back and do it. But she was like, since you're on a tour and you're not coming back today, that doesn't make sense. You're leaving. You can go to a Blue Umbrella and get them switched over to use them tomorrow. And I thought, I know myself well enough. Like, I'm not going to do that. But I've got all these kids, And well, I saw her working Toy Story Mania, and I was like, hey, I never switched those. She was like, come on.
Nice.
So she was very nice. And I hated I didn't get her name for a cast compliment, but that was pretty much our only bit of pixie dust, I guess, if you call that pixie dust, all trip. But it's great if you don't need it.
Yeah.
So we rode Toy Story Mania again, and then everybody went to Woody's Roundup Rodeo for supper. So cute inside there. I'm all about environment. If you can tell, Space 220, Cinderella's, if it has a good environment, I usually am a big fan. And the food there was great. Probably not our best meal. I think maybe I had my expectations set up too high, because one of my friends who went recently said their food was so good. So maybe higher expectations. We only had Andy come by once where we froze. Also, I had a few bathroom trips with my children, so I might have missed a few. But they ride the horses to the table inside, and it is so cute. And the food was good. It's just not as good as Space 220.
Yeah.
And then we stayed for Fantasmic that night. And I know I've seen Fantasmic maybe years and years ago, but it has been a long time. And that show is really great. I thought it was going to get a little too scary for my 4-year-old. No, she loved it too. And I think that whenever I asked like my mother-in-law and sister-in-law what their favorite part of the trip was, they said Fantasmic.
Aww.
And we waited for a long time in that, in the, arena, I guess, for it. So I was starting to think, oh no, everybody's going to be like, what are we doing? Let's go. But they weren't. Everybody had a great attitude. It's
a fun show.
It was. And actually, out of all people, the people sitting in front of us, of course, we started talking to them, and our kids were playing and asked where they were from. They're from where I'm from. So same exact town where my parents live in Mississippi. And so
that's funny.
I was like, such a small world.
Yeah.
And really at the Riviera, I ran into another person I grew up with, headed to breakfast at Topolino. So I thought it's so funny how that happens at Disney World sometimes.
Yeah.
It's last time I was there, I ran into somebody at Space 220 when I was on the girls trip.
That's so funny.
It's funny. I love how, it's a small world.
Yep. For sure.
So that was a great day at Hollywood Studios. We enjoyed that, and it worth staying later for Fantasmic.
That was really nice because y'all did the VIP tour, so you didn't have to stress about these rides. You could just take your day slower, watch the shows, have a good meal.
Oh yeah, we did not do like Rise of Resistance. My husband did slip away and do that because I think he sat out on the VIP tour guide day. And so it allows you a lot to take it slow and enjoy it and not stress.
That's great.
And my husband is like that too. He's like, now listen, once I ride, I'll ride once. Like I don't have, to keep going and going and go. And so I do appreciate that he is on board with me. He likes the shows and stuff too. So, and I'm definitely the Disney person out of our family. So he is doing this for our kids and me, hanging in there, but he does enjoy the shows, and he can definitely appreciate the rides too. But I'm just the more fanatic.
Yep. That's the same way in my house.
I'm glad he puts up with me.
I'm like, my husband just loves me, so he goes to Disney with me.
I love mid-trip, he has his moments where he's like, this is it for a while.
Yeah.
And I promise in about a year, he's going to look at me and be like, when are we going back to Disney?
Well, yeah,
If
you
it's
have to
that,
have fun.
he likes it too. He just, in the moment, I think he just doesn't do big crowds. And,
Uh-huh.
you know, I took him to Disney Springs the last trip, and he walked in, he was like, this is a tourist trap. That was our first day. I was like, Disney is kind of a tourist trap. I mean, like, there are going to be people everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So I avoided Disney Springs on this trip. But Disney is just hard on him at times, but really, if he can do it, anybody can do it, because he does enjoy it too.
That's great.
He just might not say it as much.
Right. Yeah. Inside. He enjoys it deep down inside.
Yeah, outside sometimes. I love to hear him when people ask him, like, how was the trip? I'm listening, like,
Oh, yeah.
what's he gonna say? But
Yep.
he usually, especially, right after the trip, he might be like, oh, that was a lot. And then afterwards, he's like, it was so fun. We didn't have to wait in any lines, it was great. So it just takes a little bit of time to forget about the chaos of it all. The early mornings and late nights, nonstop. But
Yep.
so our next day was a day for just our family of 4. So everybody else went to Universal, and I had intentions of asking them a bunch about their day, but I did not get much out of them.
That's fine.
I do know that I told them if they wanted to ride Hagrid's, they needed to go like really, really early, and they chose not to do that. So they did miss Hagrid's, and I think they missed one other one that wasn't included with that Premier Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Did have the pass that let them go, have like essentially a lightning lane to every ride, right? And I think they used it, but the only other thing I know is that they had lunch at do you know the places? The rest. Oh, great! They had a great lunch there. I want to say it was City Walk, but that's not what the restaurant's called. But they enjoyed Velocicoaster, except for my 8-year-old nephew was not tall enough for that one and was sad about that.
Oh,
And they did have a good day. But my sister-in-law and the older of the 2 girls, they came home at like 1:00. They came back to Disney at 1:00, and she looked up prices for a ticket to Magic Kingdom. Like, she didn't ask me about that, because I would have said, okay, you could just go add one on that really won't be much more, because you have a 4-day park ticket. But she was like, oh, it was like, I don't know what, $170 or something. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I thought, oh no, but it's okay. They ended up going to Disney Springs instead, and they shopped a bit. I don't think they bought anything, but they had dinner at the Edison,
Mm-hmm.
and they loved their burgers and dinner. They thought it was such a cool environment. They had a really great experience, so that was good. So my family of 4, we just did like a kid-friendly, kid-focused Magic Kingdom day. But we started early, and we did Fantasyland. We headed to Little Mermaid. We did Winnie the Pooh. We did Dumbo, and we waited for the Barnstormer, and then it was down. And I don't think my daughter really wanted to do that anyways. We did Small World. We did Enchanted Tales with Belle, which was so great. I tried to get her to be a character, and she was not into it, but I don't know because this was a party day, so Magic Kingdom crowds were so low.
Yeah, that's the best day to go.
I mean, I would almost plan a trip around a party season and go to even if you're not going to go to the party, just have a Magic Kingdom day where the crowds are this low.
Yeah.
It's great. And so they let her have a picture with Belle anyways at the end. It was great. We did not do Haunted Mansion again, and we didn't do Pirates the whole entire trip. Pirates was down on our VIP day. That was the only one we really missed that we wanted to do. But I think it was still down this day too, which was
Oh.
crazy. Um, so, and I did buy multi-pass this day. I didn't buy any individual passes this day because my kids I knew that we only did stuff that we could all do.
Yeah.
Um, and we did Peter Pan's. I did have a lightning lane for Peter Pan's, and I used one for Winnie the Pooh as well. We left around 11 o'clock. No, we left around about 10:30 and went to lunch at 1900 Park Fair at the Grand Floridian.
Mm-hmm.
And I considered canceling this one because I was like, this, I always feel like if you can just stay where you are, like your energy lasts longer. But after my daughter loved Cinderella's Royal Table so much, I was like, well, that's what she's loved the most. Like, we're going to go and do this. And of course, my 2-year-old was asleep almost the whole entire time. That's usually how it happened. That's how it happened with my last trip when my older one was 2. She slept through pretty much every character meal.
Yeah.
Very end. And Julia woke up too at the end. But so we had Aladdin and Tiana and Mirabelle and Cinderella. And they were all wonderful. My daughter with Aladdin, I mean, she could not even say one word. Her face was so red. She was hilarious. But the rest of them, she kind of don't do.
It's so cute.
It was so cute. And got their autographs, of course. And then the breakfast there, the lunch was great. I was not sure about a buffet. I was like, oh, it was delicious. I thought it was great. And so we did that, and it kind of took a while because we had to wait for a special table that would have space for the stroller because I was not going to wake up my 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
You have to kind of take those naps and protect them, I feel like, when they're that young.
Yes.
So we waited a little while for that and walked around the Grand Floridian, and it is just such a beautiful resort. Really, really pretty. And then we made it back to Magic Kingdom and waited in line for the cutout silhouettes. So there was like not many people in line. We actually, when we first got to Magic Kingdom, the line was not very many people at all. So we hopped in line for that, and I was like, this is crazy. Why am I wasting precious like ride time to do this? Like, we'll catch it later. So we came back later in the day, and I waited forever, it felt like, to get those things in line. And then I realized they're going to be cutting out their silhouettes, and the parade's going to go on. And after, missing a good spot for the Halloween parade, I was too nervous. So we got a spot on Main Street and watched the parade, and it is just so great. It is so great. I love it. Watched the Festival of Fantasy Parade, and then I had my girls' haircut scheduled at Harmony Barbershop.
Aww.
So this was a really slow day and kind of a day of first, but so I just popped my head in there and I was like, hey, right after the parade was done, like, can you get us in? And they were like, yeah, sure. Or maybe they were like, give us 15 minutes to see if these people show up, and they didn't. So I got my 2-year-old's first haircut there. Now,
that's so cute.
It was so cute. I mean, they did a great job. I mean, they loved it. The girls loved it. They had held wands, and they were both so still. And it is not an over the top, like what you would imagine maybe for like a barbershop on Main Street, but it was precious. And they both did great. And honestly, it was like $25 maybe a haircut, and it comes with like Mickey ears and pixie dust and a certificate, and they give you a little bag with their hair in it. So they did that for my 4-year-old too, which this was really her second haircut, but and I don't think they charged us for the first haircut package, but I mean, haircuts are probably $20 here. So it was not much more. And I was like, I've got my husband here. I don't have to worry about childcare for my younger one. We're going to knock this out.
Yeah.
And I loved it. They did the pixie dust. Now, it's been a week since we got back. It's still in their hair, but I mean, I cannot get it out. But it's to be perfect for Halloween. They'll still have glitter in their hair.
That's funny.
It was a great experience. Did not take much time at all. And then after that, I did have a lightning lane scheduled for Buzz Lightyear, but we really wanted just to have a slower night, so we did. We got back to the hotel, and oh no, sorry, we went to Skipper Canteen before we left. And so we had supper there, and it was good. Oh, we did Jungle Cruise, and then we went to Skipper Canteen. Because my 2-year-old had missed Jungle Cruise on the VIP tour guide, and I thought that was one that she would enjoy, and she did. I really don't care for Jungle Cruise. I think it is like a little overrated, but the kids do love it, so we did it. Dinner Skipper Canteen was good. I mean, I wasn't blown away by it, but I got it tastes like chicken because it is, and mine was great. And then my husband maybe got lamb. His was I neither of us cared for it too much, but it was nice just to have a sit down, and it was probably good because I'm pretty sure on the next day we had Primo Piatto again for supper. So we had done enough maybe Primo Piatto for supper, running out of options.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that and then headed home. But it was a great slow day, kid focused day at Magic Kingdom, and we had ridden the big stuff without them, so it was good.
Yeah, it was that's fun. I like slow days.
And it was nice to have just like a day with just our family of 4, being in a big group of 11. I think it was nice for them to have a go fun day that's focused on the older kids, and then it was fun for us to have a day focused on the younger ones. So
for sure.
Good.
That's awesome.
And now we'll have to go back so that my son can have his first haircut on that next week too. So maybe that's how I'll get my next Disney trip out of my husband.
You're like, he needs a haircut. We have to go to Disney.
It's just $25 there. Please. Not fair if he doesn't get it.
That's so good.
But so a good day.
That's awesome.
And, okay, and our last day was our Animal Kingdom day. And I love Animal Kingdom. It's really, I guess maybe Hollywood Studios is my favorite park, but it's a close one with Animal Kingdom. I just think that the safari is fabulous. I think the shows are great, and I love Flight of Passage. So I was really looking forward to this day, and so is everybody else. It's an early day though. It opened at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we were planning on being at the bus stop at 7:00, and we really did not make it there that early. I think we ended up saying, okay, let's just meet at 7:30 at the bus stop and then go, which kind of was not a good idea because I feel like Animal Kingdom goes so well if you get that road trip and you go out, once you have your way in which you do your rides, I guess, as a Disney, when you go back, you kind of like that order,
Yeah, it's like comforting.
It is. It's comforting. You're not overwhelmed on where do we go, you kind of know what to expect. So I like to road trip and go right to Navi River Journey because I don't want to waste a lightning lane on it. And I enjoy that ride. Everybody loved that ride. So my Aunt Louise, I was like, what do you think? She was like, it's just beautiful. And it is. So we did that, and then we did Flight of Passage. We had a early lightning lane for that, 8:40 to 9:40. And then we did the safari, and that's really the reason why I think that we got there too late, because if you're going to do Navi and then Flight of Passage and then safari, like it just got hot, and I don't feel like we had as great as a safari as, as I've seen before. I mean, we saw the lions and we saw some giraffes, but I do think it's a big difference in how active they are when it's early versus when it gets warmer.
Yeah.
And that was only like 11 o'clock. This was probably our hottest day. And And so after we did the lightning lane, so actually it was probably only 10:15 when we did safari because we had an 11 o'clock reservation at Yak and Yeti. And I thought about canceling that one, and everybody was like, "No, no, we want to sit down, we want to have a waiter." So we did it, and the food was great. It's always great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we had some cocktails and some tuna nachos, and um, everything was good. Everybody enjoyed it. Afterwards, we had a lightning lane for Expedition Everest, and so I I decided maybe to go to Finding Nemo instead of Everest, waiting on Everest with my girls. So I think my husband came with me too. And then some of the girls were like, we don't really care to ride Everest. We'll just go, we want to go to Finding Nemo. The show was great. Um, and so the other ones went to Cali River Rapids and then went to Everest and rode it. And they were like, there's no line. So right whenever we got out of Nemo, Everest was right there. So y'all want to ride it? And so we did. We did get to ride that too. And they just rode for a second time. Maybe switch some lightning lane, like magic bands or something to get with us. But we did that, and then um, some of them went to Dinosaur, and I knew my girls. I think Anne Louise would have been tall enough for that, but not Joyous, and she would have been terrified. So
Mm-hmm.
I took them to the boneyard instead, and that was probably one of her favorite things I wish I would have spent more time there. I mean, that playground is amazing. I mean, and even I was climbing up the ropes and stuff with her, and it's just fun. I really, really hope they don't get rid of that. I will be devastated because I don't
I
know
don't
how
know what
many.
the plan is. They haven't said, but I would be shocked if they get rid of that because it's such a great spot for kids.
And I'm like, it does not have to go along with Indiana Jones. Like, just please don't change it. Um, it's just a great. I just don't know how many places really uh in the US there are that have such good playgrounds like that. Maybe there are several, but not that I've seen. So
Mhm.
um the girl, that was one of her favorite things. She wanted to go back, and we just didn't have time to do that. And it gets hot, that was another thing. I was like, I like to go when it's in the morning, there's like no one there, and it's a fun spot to play. But they all loved Dinosaur. And I will say, I love Dinosaur. And I am sad that it's getting changed to Indiana Jones. And I loved, I loved the ending of Splash Mountain. And it was, sad to see that change. And I will say, I'm going to trust in Indiana Jones because what they did with Tiana's is just, it's beautiful. And when I was like, when you come around the corner and it's not singing Zippity Doo Dah, I'm going to be so sad. That was just such a sweet moment. You
Yeah,
got through the drop and they're all having a big party. It is beautiful. When you
it's
get in there, I was like, okay, you'll know what you're doing. And I feel like that a lot about things about Disney, like things that change. I'm like, if you just have a good attitude and trust them, they know what they're doing. Like, I'm really sad about losing that water, just the water, where the riverboat is in Magic Kingdom. And it's gonna be great. I feel like, oh no, it's just gonna feel like such like a park, like an amusement park instead of
yeah.
like something different. But I'm like, you know what? Trust them. Maybe, they haven't let me down. I
Have
think they
you have you ever been to Disneyland?
know.
So they have the Indiana Jones right there, and I'm pretty sure it's the same ride. That's my favorite ride at Disneyland.
Oh, okay. So you're
It's
really excited about this.
fantastic. And if you like the Indiana Jones show, you will love the ride.
Okay. So I'm not like a major Indiana Jones fan, but I mean, I feel like it will be great. I just
It's
sometimes feel
really
like
good.
it's a new ride. Quit using all this money to revamp things that are fine. But I also think too, like when I listen to podcasts and I hear people say like, oh, I can't like Navi River Journey. Like my kids love that. And I love it too. So, and I will say I love shows. but I do not go to that Muppet show. I'm like so confused every time I go in there. And I'm like, what is going on here? Why is this not been updated? Even if they just update the 3D or something. But some people like are so obsessed. So I'm like, okay, Disney, there are certain parts of Disney that uh everybody loves. Like just
Yeah.
because you love somebody else is going to love it. So like Alien Swirling Saucers. Some people hate that ride. Well, that was my favorite daughter's favorite ride, you know. So um that's Disney can be for everybody, I guess.
That's right.
And then so we went to Festival of the Lion King and did that show as well. And uh that was at the 3 o'clock show, and it was so good. My daughter had been talking about the Lion King show, and I don't know why, because we do sometimes watch the parades on TV or whatever. We watched a few things to try to get them excited and kind of understand what these rides were or whatever. And she loves to watch Disney on Ice on YouTube and stuff like that too. But she kept talking about the Lion King show, and so when we went, it was so good. And that was a good moment where we were like, okay, we've done all we really need to do, and we can kind of take it slow. And so the rest of them went to Magic Kingdom. I booked them a Tron Lightning Lane, or I purchased it from the very beginning, and so they still had some things that they wanted to do there. So they did not get to see the Festival of Fantasy Parade there, and they have not mentioned it, but I do feel bad that they didn't have a full Magic Kingdom day, but I think they would say that it was great. So they did a few of those rides together, and did Pirates. My mother-in-law really wanted to do Pirates because she says this was her last Disney trip, but and they got to see Country Bear Jamboree, which is another thing where I'm like, trust them, because, and some people think that, get really confused about that show. That was another one of our favorites. It was so cute.
I love the new show. It's so good.
Like, and the people, I guess, are complaining about the Try Everything song from Zootopia. Like, I love that song.
Yes,
God
same.
loves that song. Those costumes on the bears were so cute. I mean, maybe a little bit, their teeth are a little bit odd, but it was I just thought the bears were done well. That was a great show. And my sister and mother-in-law went and saw that too on the last bit of Magic Kingdom time that they had, and they agreed that it was a great show. It was worth going to see it. But my family and we stayed, and we wanted to get something to eat before we left so that we weren't I don't know, just rushing. I didn't want to just go sit in the hotel room. And we did walk-up list for Nomad Lounge. It said 35 minutes. So we did a little bit of shopping. Our first really time to shop and buy anything on the trip. My daughter picked out a Nala stuffy, and we got some binoculars for her friend, and I got them 2 t-shirts. We really did not shop at all the trip. And then got an ice cream bar while they waited, and we went to Nomad Lounge. It ended up being a little bit longer than 35 minutes. And we just got drinks, and the churros really, I was like, I want to try these things. They honestly are so good. Have you had them?
No.
Okay, they're really good.
I've never been to Nomad Lounge. Every trip, I'm like, let's go. And then we just don't ever go.
And I was like, this is not, I did not have it on my plans to go at all. And I was like, it's not a kid friendly place. Like, we sat in some comfortable chairs, like with a table, like low,
Yeah.
it was not like at a normal table. I mean, it was in the stroller. My younger one was asleep the whole time. She had a great nap in there. And we just got sliders and the churros. The sliders were fine, but the churros were delicious, and the drinks were great too. This is the only time where I was like, what is going on with the service? There were not that many people in there. And it took forever to get our food and our drinks and our checks, really. She kept on coming by, and she's like, oh, my daughter needed a water for sure. And like, she just could not remember to get her a water. So they were probably understaffed that day or something, but it took forever. We took the bus back to the hotel then, and then got in I was like, we can't not swim. So put the girls in their swimsuits and we swam for about 30 minutes and then it started raining. They had a great time swimming at night. Disney does a great job with those little splash pads for the kids. And my girls don't like to slide down water slides and they don't like to get splashed in their face, but they still do enjoy those things. And they had the lights underneath it. So they're pretty colors. And then it started raining. And so we went back in and we ordered some food from Primo Piatto again. And packed and went to bed.
That's so fun. What a great day. And I love the pool area at Riviera. It's gorgeous.
So pretty. So the babysitter, she was like, from Once Upon a Nanny, she's like, I've seen a lot of pools and Riviera is one of my least favorite. She loves the art of animation. She was like, just for the kids. And I think she said her favorite is a Grand Floridian, but splash area. I tried so hard to look around at that and like when I was choosing a resort and seeing, I really wanted a resort with a playground because they just love playgrounds more than splash pads. But I thought the pool splash pad at Riviera was fabulous. The pool was
nice.
If they would have been brave enough to go down that water slide, I'm sure that would have been so much fun too. But it was really, honestly, it kind of got chilly at night. I think I wore a sweatshirt every day until lunch. So we had incredible weather.
That's nice.
Not necessity for a sweatshirt, just out of comfort, but it was, I was like, now this is why October is so popular to go because the weather was just great.
That's nice.
Mississippi, and now it's so hot. So,
yeah.
But that was the end of our trip. So really, I would like to say that we ended on Festival of the Lion King, which was a great way to end, in my opinion. But we loved every second. It was packed with things to do and packed with sit down meals. But we, when we left, we were not all exhausted. So
that's awesome. How was your travel day home? Did everything go smoothly?
Yes, the scooter got picked up at about 8:00, and then the Away We Go picked us up with a lobby with the strollers too. So that was nice. One little, stop and go with them. Or I guess actually they came and picked up the strollers beforehand, and then somebody else came and picked us up to go to the airport. But everything was great. Airport was fine, and flight was on time. So it was great.
That's awesome. Okay, so now we have to do what we always do. What was your least magical moment of the trip?
Ooh, okay, least magical moment. Goodness, everything was really, really great. I guess maybe there was a time or two where maybe my husband just got a little bit overwhelmed with it all, and I just, you just have to kind of like understand that Disney can get overwhelming sometimes, and there are, you're going to wait in line, and then you're going to wait for your table, and then you're going to wait for the wait. There's a lot of waiting sometimes at Disney, even though there are so many ways to, it's really not, but it's just a lot of people sometimes. And so there was probably a moment where we had to, oh, this is probably my least magical moment, is leaving the Halloween party so early. And I think I was trying to force everybody to stay because I was like, no, y'all, we paid for this Halloween party. We need to take advantage of these rides. And everybody's looking at me like, listen, we're done. We've had a great day. Like the kids were about to fall asleep in the strollers. They were getting, and my husband was like, listen, like, they are done. This trip is for them. It's time to go, So that was probably my least magical moment, realizing that we were not going to take advantage or make the most out of the Halloween party that we should have, I felt like. But, looking back, it was still really great.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Maybe that was expensive parade to watch. Because that's really what we did on the Halloween party. That was the main thing. So it's a lot of money to pay for a parade, but
a parade and one trick-or-treat stop.
Yes, and Small World and the carousel.
Oh my gosh.
That was our Halloween party, but you live and you learn.
Yeah, you can have a redo one day.
Right, absolutely. I need a redo one day.
Yes.
So that was at least magical.
What was your most magical moment?
lots of magical moments, but I have to say that seeing my daughter's face light up with every princess in Cinderella's royal table was just, I mean, I had tears in my eyes because she had tears in her eyes. So that was my best.
That's such a sweet moment.
It was really, really sweet for both of my girls, but mainly, the 4-year-old just was more aware of what was going on. The 2-year-old is excited because the 4-year-old is excited, but
it's just so fun because they really believe. Like when we took my daughter, I think she was 3 or 4 the first time she met the princesses, and she kept touching their face because she's like, "You're real."
Oh yeah.
It's just so sweet to like witness that. I love it. And even when I go now with my kids who are older, I'll look at other tables and I'll watch their kids because that is a special moment.
It's so special. And I can't remember who it was, like maybe Merida or something, like told her that she could come over to her castle and they could shoot bow and arrows together or something. And she was like, "Well, tomorrow I'm going to shoot bow and arrows." And Merida, I was like, "Yeah, well, actually we have plans tomorrow, but maybe one day you can do that."
She's like, "I'm getting that on the calendar."
Sorry, I'm busy. Yeah. Like I will catch y'all catch y'all later, but tomorrow I'm headed off with a princess to go to her castle.
That's so
I
funny.
think it was Merida, but she was like, "Well, sounds great to me. See you then."
Well, Lindsay, do you have anything else you want to share about your trip before we go?
Maybe my last thing is to say, sometimes people are like with taking toddlers to Disney is like too much, like, oh, it's so hard. And I think I've seen one Instagram meme or something one time that said, if you think taking toddlers to Disney is hard, you've obviously never stayed at home with toddlers. And I really believe that wholeheartedly. My days at home with them are like so much more work than the parks. I mean, really, they're in the stroller a lot. There's constant entertainment. They're having a great time as long as you're not overdoing it with them. That was a vacation for me because we just had all kinds of things to do and not really any messes to clean up, and they just had the best time. There's nothing like watching your kids have fun at Disney. So if you're intimidated to take your toddlers, I know they may not remember it. My 4-year-old does not remember going when she was 2, but I'm also one of those people who was like, "So what are you supposed to do?" Just like, not do anything fun with them. But if they're not going to remember it, like, okay, well, we're not going to go to the playground because they won't remember it. I mean, you can still do fun things with them. And Disney World is totally doable with a toddler. It is really fun. So
these trips when they're young are not for them. It's for the parents. Like, you'll never forget those moments. Who cares if they don't remember it? It's for you. Like, you'll never, ever forget it.
Right. So we had a great time. I can't wait to go back. It probably will be a while before we go back, but it was a really great trip.
Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. And it was just so much fun listening to you share your trip tale.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for allowing me to live through other guests who share their trips. It is so fun for me to get to put in my AirPods and clean my house or, drive on trips or wherever I'm going and listen to other people share about their trips. So I appreciate what you do.
Oh, thank you. That's a wrap on today's show. As always, thanks for listening. Make sure to visit us on Instagram at Disney Travel Tales. If you're wanting to support the show, the best and easiest way to do that is to leave a 5-star positive review on Apple Podcasts. It's so easy and means the world to me. Can't wait to be back next week with you. So until then, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams come true.